Hello everybody, welcome to my bacon project. What I am not doing is making a how-to video, but I am going to show how we make shelf-stable, non-refrigerator necessary bacon. And so we'll take you through all the steps, including the ingredients and all of that, but I'm not calling it a how-to video because we're not very good at making videos and people might complain. And so this is really just an answer to people asking me how we make it. So I put together this video and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, today I'm going to be doing about 40 pounds of bacon, and this is not just a standard refrigerator necessary bacon cure that you find on YouTube. This is going to be a shelf-stable, traditional long-term storage bacon. And so this recipe is per application rather than just doing the one application over about 7 days, which is what most of the YouTube videos call for. Of course, that just produces a flavored pork product called bacon. They call bacon, which is going to need to be refrigerated. We're doing a long-term true cure, and so there's going to be at least 3 applications. And so here's the recipe. You want for a 40-pound batch, 2 pounds of salt, 2 pounds of brown sugar. Make sure that in any recipe you look at that your salt is equal to or more than your sugar. All right, if it has more sugar than salt, then it is not a long-term cure. It's not a safe product to not be refrigerated. It's not a true cure. All right, 2 pounds of salt, 2 pounds of brown sugar, 4 ounces of pink salt, which is your Instacure number 2, which provides your nitrates. And basically the thing here is you want a level teaspoon per 5 pounds of meat, not to exceed 4 ounces per 100 pounds. I'm only doing 40 pounds, but I've got 4 ounces. This is going to be the only application of nitrate. The rest of the applications will not include pink salt. So we're going to get it all in at the beginning. 3 ounces of black pepper. You know, some recipes call for crushed black pepper and all of that. We're making a shelf-stable product. We're not really trying to create a artificially flavored or a fancy gourmet bacon. This is going to be a traditional, old school bacon. And then I've got here half an ounce of powdered bay leaves mixed with 1/4 of an ounce of allspice. The only things that are really necessary for the curing of the bacon is the salt and the nitrate. Everything else is for flavoring, so you could add whatever you want, subtract whatever you want. In addition to those, just make sure that between your sugar and your salt that you have at least 50% of those dry ingredients in salt. All right, so here's the recipe. This is for the first application. Second application will be made either the second or third day. Third application will be made based on our judgment of when it's necessary. The whole process is going to take about 2 weeks, and not counting smoking. And you will only add the pink salt, there's an asterisk, during the first application. All right, y'all, I'm just starting this bacon project today. I'm going to be doing about 40 pounds of bacon. This is a single belly, probably around, I'm guessing, 12 to 13 pounds. This will be trimmed up. You'll see I've already kind of started a little bit. You want to remove any silver skin, which I've done, and any hangy parts that are going to either be in the way or not going to be aesthetically pleasing. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to make 2 bacons out of this side, and we're going to even up and square up these corners and sides so that it's all square. The thing will become more stiff as it dries during the curing process, and that'll help us with our slicing and everything down the road. All right, so if you're like us, and if you were doing this in the winter, which I'm not, and you knew you were going to have cold weather, you don't really need to do all of this trimming right now. We've got a 12-foot by 12-foot stone smokehouse. This could all be cured in a salt box or a large container. And after the several weeks of curing, this could be hung just as it is and the smokehouse. And the benefit of doing it that way without cleaning up all the sides and making it square at this point is all of those sides and bits and pieces can be cut off later, and they'll be cured bacon. You can use those in beans, etc. We're actually going to cut those off and put them in a container for sausage. So that's the way this is going to work. I will come back after I've got this piece cut up. I don't think I mentioned this is a traditional skin-on bacon, which is the way it was traditionally done. So you see the skin is still on here. Now you'll see here that when this was originally butchered, they left a large section here of meat, and so it's kind of uneven. And some people want their bacon all to be, you know, the same width. I really don't care. I'm going to leave that on there because it's got a nice lean here with the fat. Should be delicious. And we'll move on. Okay, so you see here I've got a trimmed piece, and you can see the bacony goodness here. This is about a 5-pound piece, so I'll be doing somewhere around 7 or 8 of these. The trimmings are all big chunks, and these will also be salted, and I will make these into salt pork. Okay, we're going to go ahead and mix up our ingredients of the cure, which I've shown earlier. I've got a large tub here. Ideally, you're going to do this on a cool day, winter. For long-term storage without refrigeration or electricity, that's what you do. It's about 40 degrees this morning, and so that's pretty ideal temperature. You really want to keep it in the 40s as much as you can through the first at least 7 to 10 days. Alright, so I'm going to add my ingredients here. There's a salt, the pink salt, my spice, allspice and bay leaves powder, and the 3 ounces of black pepper. I'm going to mix all of this up, see if I can do this without still got to add my brown sugar. I'll add the brown sugar and get this mixed up and be back. Okay, I'm starting my dredge here, and I've got about a 5-pound bacon ready to go. I've got my cure all mixed. You might ask, you know, how is this any different than most of the cure recipes and things you see on YouTube, etc. This is only the first application. Some of those do make a second application over the 7 days, or a third application. We're actually going focusing more on the loss of water weight and liquid weight, and so we're going to keep ours in the cure and keep it drying until we've lost at least 30% of our liquid weight. And so the cure is going to be on it longer. We're going to be applying it more and over a longer period of time, and that's what's going to give us a shelf-stable product. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure that the entire surface, I've got it skin side up right now, into every single surface, nook and cranny is covered with the cure. I'll flip this over when that's done, and we're going to rub the cure in. Once the thing is completely coated, it'll go into a container where it will hopefully remain in the temperatures of the 40s. Tomorrow I will flip all of these over, reapply cure to all of the bacons and all the surfaces, and then it'll go another 3 to 5 days. At the end of a week, I will drain out all the liquid that runs off and reapply cure yet again, flipping it every day after that. It will go at least another week. We're going by weight, and then once it has cured to the condition that I'm happy with, then it will go into the smokehouse, not for 3 or 4 hours, and will be cold smoked, not hot smoked. It'll be in the in the smokehouse for about 4 days, and that will result in a purely traditional long-term cured storage bacon. Okay, to show you the point I'm making about the fact that most of the cure recipes on Facebook are, or excuse me, YouTube are insufficient for long-term storage of food. These are some bacon pieces. There's some bigger pieces up underneath. They had already gone through the full 7-week cure required by most recipes on YouTube. They'd already been drained, so all the moisture had been poured off. At that point, those videos generally declare that meat cured, when in reality it is still, I mean, it's a fine bacon product, but it's supposed to be refrigerated. So these were actually reapplied application of the cure 2 or 3 times. After 10 days, all of that liquid was poured off. Cure was applied yet again, and look how much moisture has still accumulated in this container. And so this tells you how much moisture would have still been in that meat, and it is the moisture that encourages spoilage. So just to give you an idea, what I'll be doing with these is pouring off that moisture, rearranging these, turning them upside down, and we'll keep them on the cure until they've reached the weight that we know and the density we know is safe. Alright, so these are bacons that have been fully cured for a little over 2 weeks. We've just pulled them out of the cure, washed them off. Now they're going to be sitting here in this very cold water for, and it's up to you here, a couple of hours probably. Just going to remove a little bit of the saltiness and allow the salt that's left in the meat to equalize throughout the meat. So this will be the next step, and then after this the meat will be dried. It will be allowed to sit in a chilled temperature for 24 hours, and then it will go into the smokehouse. Alright, so I'm in the smokehouse this morning and about to smoke a small load of bacon. And these were pulled out of the cure, and they were soaked for about 6 or 8 hours in cool, clear water, and that washed off a lot of the salt. And then they were allowed to equalize or set at a cool temperature for about 24 hours. Now they've developed this pellicle, which is like a sticky, not real sticky, but it's a surface that'll take the smoke real well. And we're going to get the smokehouse going and smoke up these bacons. Probably keep it going several days. Nice cool morning here in Central Texas. About 40 degrees when I woke up. It's about 43 now. Good temperature for smoking some bacon. Okay, I'm up here at the smokehouse for starting the second day of smoking on the bacon, and we had pretty good smoke yesterday. Not great. We had an east wind. One of the differences between a smokehouse like this and a small little smoking area someone might have, like a small little shed where they use a propane tank, little burner and some wood chips, is that this smokehouse was designed to work with our prevailing winds, which are usually from the west and the south, and we've had a lot of northern and eastern winds. Had an eastern wind most of the day yesterday, so we're hoping we have either no wind or a more prevailing wind. Pardon me. This morning got the fire started a little while ago, and we're going to walk up here and see how the bacon is going. Day 2. Got smoke coming in, starting to come in. You can see that the bacon is taking the smoke really, really well. This isn't one of those deals where we're going to do 4 or 5 hours like on some videos that are really just imparting some taste and color. we're actually going to allow the smoke to permeate the meat. This is going to take 3 or 4 days if we get some good smoke, based on the smoke level and not really the time. But everything's looking really good. We got smoke coming in. We'll close her up for the day. All right, so it's the morning of the 3rd day smoking project here with the bacons, and a little bit of smoke still coming in from last night. About to get it fired up again. Bacon looks really good, and we'll make a decision later whether we're going to pull it down tonight or in the morning, or if we're going to let it go all day tomorrow for a 4th day. Probably cut down some and cut a little bit and see what it tastes like. Looks great. It's got a good see if I can do this without turning the camera around in the dark. You can see it's got a really good color on it. So we'll see how it goes today. Test piece to see how the bacon's coming along, see if it needs another day. And so this is one of the smaller pieces that we had hanging in the smokehouse. Today is its 3rd day in the smokehouse. It had about 2 weeks of curing, and it's only been cold smoked, no hot smoke. So we're going to slice up a little bit of it now to fry it up and see if it's too salty or see if it's just right. All right, so fried up some of the bacon. One thing about bacon is, especially real bacon, traditional bacon, is that everybody's going to like it different. Everybody likes a different crispiness. They like a different saltiness. So some of you will find a traditional bacon to be a little bit too salty for you, and some people won't. If it is, then you're only cutting off the part you're going to eat at that point. You can soak it for an hour or 2, and that will remove some of the saltiness. It will also make the bacon crispier when you fry it. So we'll give it a taste here. It's very good. Excellent, actually. Like I said, everybody's different, and your salt needs are different, and on 2 different days you might have 2 different opinions of something like authentic bacon. But this is actually really good, so it worked out well.